and y'all can probably relate to this in some way or another. My life revolves around other people, whether it be my children, mainly my children. That's been my thing. I mean, my oldest is 20. So for 20 years, you know what I've done? Whatever that my kids do. My daughter's 16. What do I do? Everything my kids do. So my life revolved around my kids. And as they got older and started doing their own thing, I kind of had to go, okay, well, who am I outside of their mom? What do I do while they're out doing their own thing? When my son moved to college, I didn't want to get depressed and sad. So I chose something to do. And that's when I signed up for my painting class.
Hmm.
So, y'all choose to come to Tai Chi class and do that for yourself. And I think that's great. I like taking care of myself. I wish it was as easy as dropping off my body at the gym in the mornings and coming back later and picking it up. But we got to put in the work, don't we, y'all? So we do that by showing up and doing it. When you come to class, you come to class to learn. And to me, this is what's so special about Tai Chi class is we come here to learn, and then in theory, we practice it outside of class. It's the only class I've ever been involved with where you didn't show up and leave and get to check it off.
Hmm.
Most classes like aerobics class or, any other class, you show up, you do what they tell you to do, and you leave and you're like, oh yeah, I did my exercise. And here in Tai Chi class, we learn and it almost becomes a lifestyle. I talked to you about how Tai Chi gives us body awareness and it teaches us how to hold our body no matter where we are. We want to hold it in a stable stance. I kind of tuck these strings in, they'll be drove me crazy. We hold ourselves in a stable position. The Tai Chi is a lifestyle. The way that we breathe and the way that we exhale, the way that we gather energy with our movements, it's all to make our body healthy. Now, I am having to go through training. It's called prep work because every 2 years I have to get recertified to teach Tai Chi. And so in a couple of weeks, we won't have class. March the 4th, we won't have class because I'll be in Tallahassee getting my recertification. But leading up to that certification, I'm having to do what's called prep work. And so you would think after teaching Tai Chi for 12 years, I would just be arrogant to think I knew everything and there was nothing else that there is to learn. But you know what, y'all? Look at this. I started working on it last week. I have already 2 pages of notes from my prep work of things that I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about saying it like that, or oh, that's interesting, or even writing down things that I already know. And, what, right here, there is no hurry in Tai Chi with a heart beside it. You know, we know that. I mean, I didn't have to write it down. I know that. But see, I have 2 pages of notes that I can, already I can share with y'all different things. Um,
Good student, good teacher.
so we always want to be lifelong learners. We're better for it. We're better for putting ourselves out there, learning new things, and really giving it our best effort. I got tickled at Dr. Lamb this morning because Dr. Lamb is the one that does the prep work. He's the one who wrote the program. But he says, in terms of practicing Tai Chi, how much should I practice Tai Chi? Well, he says, 30 minutes every day would be great. But if all you have is 5 minutes, then 5 minutes is better than zero. He said in 10 minutes is better than 5. Now, we all knew that, didn't we? But it's just nice to hear how forgiving this program is, how much we want to put into it, how much we want to get out of it. But there is that urge to want to practice it and just make it part of who we are and how we move and how we hold our bodies and breathing and just getting that full benefit of breath and movement. So let's move. I am watching Dr. Lamb do these same exact movements we do, and he moves very differently than I do, and it's very mind opening to be reminded that we all can do these same moves that have a little bit of difference, but we get the same out of it. So let's start with our warm-up movements of all of our major joints. Of course, Dr. Lamb is a Tai Chi and he's a Tai Chi master, but he's also a medical doctor. So he brings in both Western and Eastern styles of medicine to create this program that is for our health. And so I think that's why we get so much out of it, because he's so smart in the way he creates our movements and program. And you know how sometimes I have mentioned like life energy, and that in Tai Chi, we increase our life energy. It's what makes our body different than a body that's in a casket. We have life energy, we have life in our bodies. And he says, it's okay if you don't believe in that. Because sometimes that is a turn off for people, is kind of a hokey talk about something that you can't see. Does that sound familiar? But he gives permission always, like, it's okay if you don't believe in it, but do the moves and it's all going to happen regardless of whether you believe in it or not. I think he's just cool. Oh, and my shoulders. Making sure I don't have any tension anywhere. And when I notice tension, I let that tension go. And on this move, he talks about, and I'll probably be talking about like this for the next 2 or 3 weeks as I go through my own prep work and training. But here he talks about gathering all that's in the universe and putting it inside of you, or gathering the blue sky and putting it inside of you. And I love that visualization of positive things to fill your soul with. It's amazing how our thoughts and the things that we spend our time thinking about and doing can greatly affect our mind and our health. Now for our spine, separating the heavens and earth as we so powerfully are. Back to our ball and switch, stretching that spine. Let's go side to side. Hips, shifting weight to one leg, heel forward, hands back, making sure we're keeping that upright posture, not leaning with our movement. Continuing to breathe. Still thinking slow, smooth, and continuous. The other side. Really appreciating that one leg that's holding our weight while we move the other. Yeah. Being upright, tapping that foot out. Breathing, holding no tension in our shoulders as we go side to side, staying within our frame. Our knees. Shift, lift, and tap. And I wish y'all could see Dr. Lamb really lift his foot up in the air. Something to aspire to do, or not. I don't worry about it. My biggest concern is my weight shift being right over top of that hip, knee, and ankle to where I'm not putting any unnecessary stress on those joints. And then if I need to challenge how high I can tap my foot out, then maybe I can come over to this wall, shift the weight properly, but have this as my security as I lift and tap my foot out in the air. But not to worry about doing it without having something stable. And I'm glad I don't have a microphone too close to me because my knees sound like potato chips. Love this one for the weight shift that goes side to side and then weight shift forward and back. Remember keeping that back foot, keeping both feet flat on the floor, but very much conscious that that back heel doesn't come off the floor. We want to stay grounded in our movements. And I felt myself kind of speed up there. So that's great when we recognize, hey, I was like getting in a hurry to do the weight shift, but to really place that foot empty, then shift the weight, heel toe, then shift the weight and back. And so we start developing good habits in our warm-up moves so that when we start practicing our Tai Chi series of movements, then we've started those habits of staying slow, smooth, continuous, but respecting the empty step before the weight transfer. All right, ankles. Heel toe. Back, shift weight, heel toe. Big toe, little toe. And little toe, big toe. All right, we are ready to go. With our Tai Chi series of movements, we've hit it hard with our basic 6, and so we want to review those movements to make sure we feel good about those. Starting with commencement. Remember, it's a step forward. Remember, our hands face each other the whole time. That's important in our Tai Chi for the energy to flow. That's why sometimes you may practice Tai Chi and look down and your hands are real splotchy. That's that energy that we play around with in Tai Chi. So our hands face each other the whole time. But also remember there's the opportunity to do some wrist movement there, where when we come up, our fingers are pointed down. When we come down, our fingers are more pointed up. Do you have to do that? No. But you can give that little flick of the wrist as you come down and around like that curve, a U. You come down, in, and up, out, back in, your fingers point up, and that gets you ready for your open and close. So again, commence, we come up, down, shift right, step left, bring that. And it's not really a step. Remember, it's a placement. So we empty step, we place that foot out there. Then we're ready to give it weight as our hands go out. Bring that right foot forward and our hands come back for open and close. So commencement, that's our first move. Hands up, down, shift right, place that left, hands come in and up. Shift left as they go out, right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, remember we go to the right first. We shift our weight left, we step out right and adjust the weight. Now, when we step out, it's a really small step and our foot steps at an angle, about 45 degrees, but you can play around to see what feels most comfortable. But it is a small step. When we place that foot, immediately it's empty, no weight is there. Then what I call adjust weight, and that means give weight to that front foot and have weight on both feet. So that is essentially a stable stance. So I've talked about when you're out and about, you're having to stand for long periods of time. Maybe you feel a little bit afraid that someone's going to bump into you and knock you over. Put yourself in a staggered stance like this. One foot further up than the other. So it's a slight angle when you step out. Our weight is on both feet. So when we do step out, our bodies naturally follow that angle of the foot that steps out. We push our hands out and turn. Now when I separate, I adjust my body to where it's now squared up with my hips. So it looks like this. Let me take my glasses off. There's a glare on them. Okay. So it's shift. I just want you to pay attention to what my body does. Shift, step. You see my body turned with that angle. Push, turn, and watch. I bring my body square with my hips. So think about how you move that torso with this movement. Shift, step, adjust weight. Push, turn, separate. Now my body is flush with my hips. Both of my hands moved. My eyes followed the hand, or my head, not just my eyes, followed the hand opposite of the foot that stepped out. That's the rule of single whips, whether it be in our step forward single whip like we do in basic 6, or our step back single whip, which we do in part 2. The hand or the eyes and head follow the hand opposite of the foot that steps. So that's our single whip. Moving on. Waving hands in clouds. This is kind of that well, it is. I shouldn't say kind of. It's our transition movement where we shift left and bring that right foot, right hand back to prepare for waving hands in clouds. Now, when my eyes are looking at that left hand, I kind of pretend my eyes have like a special power. So when I came out of single whip, I'm looking at that hand like, you stay there, you're not going anywhere just yet. It's these other 2 limbs that are coming somewhere. That if that helps you remember what hand to bring down or what hand to let stay. Pretend your eyes have the power of telling it not to move. Now we're ready for waving hands in clouds. We brought them back. We're ready to step out. Switch. There's our words behind us. Turn. Shift. Step. Switch. Turn. Keep an upright posture. That torso moves. The hips stay forward. You can pair movements to step and switch at the same time. Turn, switch. And our last one goes in. I call that in because we've been going this way. So that way's in. That number 6 is here. Come and open and close. So on the final step, and remember the pattern of the movement where we step right and we turn right. So that's the pattern. Step left, turn left, step right, turn right. There's 6 steps. So there's 4. Here's 5. Remember, step right, turn right, step left, turn left. So that last one turns in to center and grabs that other hand like a magnet force. I went turn. Now we're ready to end it. So I bring that hand forward, just like my hand had a magnet. I pulled it forward. There's gentle resistance. Open, close. Now single whip to the left. So I shift right, step left. There's that angle. You saw my body turn with it. Adjust weight. Now weights on both legs. Push, turn, separate. Eyes follow, and head follows the hand opposite of the foot that steps out. Remember, my eyes are powerful. You stay right there, hand. Bringing the left foot, left hand back. Now we're ready for waving hands in clouds. Step. So I stepped left. Now I turn left. Step right. Now I turn right. So there's the rhythm. There's the 4 things. Shift, step, switch, turn. I like to put step and switch together. Turn and then shift. I just went one too many. Let me just finish it off because I go towards the center to end. There's that magnet. Pull it to front, open, and close. All right, so that's a good review and talk through of our basic 6. Now let's put it all together. and commence. Think about each and all the pieces and parts of these movements. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. I was thinking about this just now. We always count 6 steps, but you could count 6 turns too, because there's a turn for every step. So that may work better for you to count out the turns. So there's 6. Back to center, open, close, single whip. Never counted the turns before. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I know that was kind of fast, but I kind of got excited. Open and close. I got excited about thinking about counting turns instead of steps. We should add a 6, shouldn't I, to remind us. But 6 is the magic number that we're going for on our waving hands in clouds. All right, let's do it again. Calling out the names of the movements. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Six. Come back to center for open and close. Close it out. What questions do you have about those movements? You feel good about them? Have you had any aha movements in these not movements, aha moments in the past couple weeks as we've gone over these moves and gotten more and more familiar with them?
I don't know about an aha moment, but I just feel more comfortable the more I practice.
Well, good. It's so true. And what does Dr. Lamb say? 5 minutes is better than 0.
And that's exactly what I've been doing.
I loved that. Oh, my son just called. I had to tell him I'm in class. I'm really good about keeping up with his schedule. Why can't he keep up with mine?
Jennifer, you on Spotlight?
Oh, you know what? Thank you for saying that, because whenever I first started, it was just me and Sharita, and it only gives me that option to pin. All right, there we go. Thank you. Gwen, you keep me straight. I appreciate it. Somebody needs to. My mama thanks you.
You're welcome.
My mama thanks you for keeping me straight. All right. So, do we feel comfortable diving into our first advanced movement of brush knee? No one's scared. No one's going to be upset if we give it a try. All right, so our advanced movements. We go to the left first, which is that way, and then we go to the right. When we did our basic 6 movements, remember we went single whip and waving hands and clouds to the right first and then to the left. So this is opposite. So right, left. So we're going to the left first. So I'll come over here to show you brush knee. Now, brush knee is one of the most complicated movements of our advanced movements because one reason is because we go from facing forward to facing to the side. So we can't just jump over to the side. We kind of have to take our time with the weight shift and the movement of our feet. Okay, so be patient with yourself as we dive into this. Here's what brush knee looks like. Here we go. That's brush knee. So I think I need to tuck my breeches into my socks.
Do that again for me, Jennifer.
Okay, I'm a vision now, y'all. Oh, it looks like I have on those little hair on my hand. That's a good look. All right, so here's brush knee. I just want y'all to be able to see my feet. Just like all of our moves, sometimes we have to work our feet placement out to be able to put them in a place where we feel most stable and comfortable. So we always know that too big of a step isn't stable because we can't recover from it. We can't move from it. Too small of a step is not stable. We're wobbly when our feet are too close together. So keeping that in mind as we move, what's happening with our feet is this. I'm going to shift weight to my left foot. I'm going to turn that right toe in. And when I turn the right toe in, this is a new thing that we're trying, and that's called pivoting. And so even though I've shifted weight to my left foot, I've left a tiny bit of weight still on that right foot so that I can turn my toe in. And when I turn my toe in, there's a tiny bit of weight on that heel that stabilizes that foot to be able to turn. So that feels a little bit awkward. And so turning that toe in prepares us to turn to the left. That toe is like an arrow. It's saying we're going that way. Now, watch this right foot. So once I turn it in, it may feel very awkward right there, but when I finish the move, it makes more sense. This right here is a lot more comfortable of a stance than if I were to have not turned the toe in. If I'd have left that toe straight and then tried to step, now that I feel pressure on my knees, maybe in my hips, like that just doesn't feel like a good stance. But if I turn that toe in, then what am I at now? A staggered stance. So that turn the toe in prepares us to end in a stable way, or that staggered stance. Now let's say that turning that toe in is very uncomfortable for you, or you may feel like it puts pressure on your knee. You know, people who have knee problems, or maybe either had knee replacement or need knee replacement, have a hard time with turning that toe in. Your feet are a little bit too close together whenever you turn that toe in. So if that's the case for you, Widen your stance by stepping forward instead of turning that toe in so that it looks like this. Step, hold on, step or shift, shift left, step out right. So you see, I didn't step forward. I stepped kind of at an angle. There, that was too much of an angle. Shift and step. So now I've widened my stance so that whenever I step here, it's not there. It's more here. Okay. Whatever your needs are, we always have permission to modify the movement for safety and comfort of how you're feeling. This hit me sometime last year when we were learning part 2 in one of my in-person classes. There's a lot of pivots in part 2. We just now experienced our first pivot by pivoting that right foot in. That's our very first experience. In part 2, there's a lot more pivots. I was so worried and hung up on people learning pivots of repulse the monkey, because repulse the monkey goes here. Okay, so whenever we come back front, there's a pivot, pivot. It's like a double pivot. You pivot on your toe and then on your heel. And I was so worried about teaching that. Then it hit me. The pivot is not what's most important. Safety and comfort is more important. And so in order to go from facing forward to facing the left, we may not rely on the pivot or even on the step out. What might we do is do a little bit of a shuffle, okay? Because this depends on what our body is comfortable doing. So what I can do is, okay, shift the weight, slightly move, shift the weight, slightly move. Like keep doing a little bit of a shuffle until I'm facing to the left. Does that make sense? So all our bodies are different and we want to listen to it and we want to be safe. So yes, our goal is shift, left, right toe in, shift right, bring that left foot back and then step, shift, follow step. Okay, that's our goal. That's the way the movement is designed, but sometimes we have to make the middle part a little different, but the end part is here to go on with our advanced moves. This is why they're called advanced moves. They're a little bit more difficult. So keeping those things in mind with brush knee, that's what's happening with our feet. So it's shift left, right toe in. Shift right, bring that left foot back. Step left towards the left. Shift and follow step right. So that gets me from facing forward to facing to the left. Now, when I finish the movement, I follow step right. In the perfect stance, right, the left heel and the right toe are kind of in that same line. Your feet may be a little bit closer. It may be a little bit further apart, depending on how comfortable you are. But there's that staggered stance in the end. We follow step right. We follow step right. Anytime I say follow step in whatever foot that is, that's the end of that movement. That's what you call the period. That's the end of it. And in the period of the movement, no weight shift happens. So we follow step right, no weight shift. Because that follow step foot is the next step for our next movement, which is play the lute. So throughout our advanced 6, I'm just giving you these general rules. We're not going to learn all of it today, obviously. So the general rule is at the end of a movement is a follow step. The follow step is the period. The follow step gets no weight. The follow step is the first step of that next movement. Now, let's say when you follow stepped, you couldn't keep all your weight on that other foot. You needed, for safety, to give weight to that follow step foot. That's fine. You can do that. Just know that you have to remove the weight of the foot in order to step for your next step. So I give you the rules of the movement, but then permission to modify always. So know that going into our advanced experience. So from, again, the footwork is shift left, right toe in, shift right, bring that left foot back, then step left foot to the left, shift, and follow step right. So where's the weight? Left foot. That right foot has just follow stepped and ended the movement. Your knees are probably saying enough already, right? It's hard on our knees to do those pivots. What does our hands do? Well, our hands are coming from open and close. So they're facing each other like this. All right. So when we shift left and turn that right toe in, we reach that right hand out. So that right hand reaches out when we turn that right toe in. The left hand comes and protects our elbow. So it looks like this. Shift left, right toe in and reach. Facing each other. Shift left, right toe in and reach. Right toe in and reach. All right. Shift left, right toe in and reach. So we know the next move is shift right, bring that left foot back, right? When we bring that left foot back, this left hand goes from protecting our elbow to our hip. Okay, so from the top, shift left, right toe in and reach, shift right. I call this separate and prepare because we're preparing to step. So we're here, we separate and prepare. Now we know we step left. So this right hand is still pointing out, still pointing forward. When I step left, it's empty. I don't immediately give it weight. All my weight's still on that right foot. I got to speed it up. Shift, right toe in and reach. Shift right, separate, prepare. Step left. Now I'm going to bring this right hand around. That movement right there depends on how much range of motion you have in your shoulder and in your elbow. So in a perfect world, you can go down, around, bend into our shoulder. In a perfect world, you can do that whole movement. If you can't do that whole movement for whatever reason, do what you can and visualize that you did 100% of that movement. But that right hand comes back, around, into my shoulder. I've stepped left, no weight yet. All my weight's on that right foot as I came back into my shoulder. Now I'm ready to shift left. And when I shift left, I push that hand forward. And when I get my hand out, still having that soft bend, follow step right. That's the end of the movement. Again, all together. Shift left, right toe in and reach. Shift right, separate, prepare. Step left, bring this right hand around, get to my shoulder. Shift left, I push right, and follow step right. That is brush knee. Now I'm going to do it towards you. So I'm pretending this is front and that is left. All right, so I want you to see what it looks like as I come towards you. Brush knee, shift left, right toe in and reach. Shift right, separate, prepare. Step left, bring that right hand around, get to my shoulder. Shift left as I push and follow step. So that's what it looks like from the front. Any questions about that movement?
So when you did that follow step, your right foot did not come up even with the left foot.
No, ma'am. It's in that staggered stance. I think that's what's difficult is like, okay, when we walk, how do we walk? We step one foot out and then we step 1 foot forward. Then we step 1 foot, we keep going forward. And so I think what challenges our brain, which is a good thing, in these advanced movements is that when we shift, when we follow step, it's not a step forward. It's step, shift, follow step, and we're still back. Whenever we do that next movement, we step back, shift, follow step. So, yeah, we don't go even, we don't go forward, we're behind, then we're still behind. Our foot just went from that angle to straight facing the left wall.
Okay.
And I know that it's so new right now and it's overwhelming and you feel like, oh gosh, this is advanced. Give me basic 6 back. We'll always be with basic 6. We never leave basic 6 behind. And just like with basic 6, we take our time with our advanced movements. To give you hope, and next week we can talk about it, but to give you hope, the next move is play the lute, and it looks like this. So I'm here at the end of brush knee. Play the lute, I step back, turn hands, shift as my hands pass, and follow step. So that's play the lute. So that seems a little bit more manageable in terms of learning. So they're not all as complicated as brush knee, where we shift, right toe in, reach, shift right, separate, prepare, step left, bring this right hand around, shift as I push and follow step, play the lute, step back, turn hands, shift as they pass and follow step. So see, that second move is digestible. The first move kind of freaks us out a little bit. All right, any other questions before we cool down? An hour has gone by. All right, let's give ourselves a little fist massage, challenging ourselves to lift our foot off the floor, our knee a little bit higher. Kind of like this look. All right, gather tension and then release. Gather it, feel it, and then let it go. gather, release. Shoulder circle up and down. Gather this sunshine, put it in our soul, because it's cold outside. At least our soul can be sunny. One more. We make a right fist that represents our strength. Our four fingers on the left hand are friendship, our thumb in. We put our hands together in mutual respect. We say namaste. So go with me as we learn this, but we will always backtrack and practice our basic six. So thank y'all for coming today and just being so dedicated to learning this art. We are artists. We'll do it again next Tuesday, but remember that next Tuesday, March the 4th, I'll be in Tallahassee in my own Tai Chi class. So hopefully the next week I'll bring back to y'all things that are maybe a little bit different in a different way of saying things. So that's pretty cool. All right. Well, y'all let me know if you need anything this week, but y'all have a great week, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Is Gwen on?
Ma'am?
Is Gwen still on?
She is.
I was telling you hi and thank you for asking about me last week.
You're welcome. My condolences go out to you on your loss of your friend.
Thank you so much. It meant so much. Jennifer told me that you had said that. That really uplifted me.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you.
I love us. We're so good.
Yes, we are.
All right, y'all. I'll see y'all the next time.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.